Hey, this is the Old Newbie from the Old Newbie VR Show, and I am back in VR, back in my virtual studio, which can be anywhere and have anything, as you know, all you VR enthusiasts out there. And I'm here to talk about some of the latest seismic shifts that have been happening in the VR marketplace. I tell you, I get off the stream for a little while, and there's just some monumental changes happening. Now, we talked about it earlier, and we predicted a lot of things, but now it's coming to fruition, and it is coming fast. Just last week, Sony released their Sony PlayStation VR 2, and that was all over the news about Sony's next generation VR headset for the PlayStation 5. And then, just a few days ago, Meta announced their Meta Quest 3, the follow-up to the insanely popular consumer Quest 2. Now the Quest 3, the next iteration, is coming out. And that thing looks like it's going to be, once again, another consumer bombshell. And then now, today, announced by Apple, their long-awaited, long-rumored Apple headset, the Apple Vision Pro, which is the new name that they've come out with for their entry into the VR market space. And that is the implications of Apple are just humongous. We've got one of the top 5 tech companies now investing in VR. And so that's what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover that Apple headset. We're going to go through it real quick on the specs, what they're offering, and then we're going to talk about some of the business aspects of it and hopefully wrap this thing up really quick because there's a lot of folks talking about it, but this is the hotness right now, is the Apple Vision Pro. So let's launch right into it without further delay. Let me go ahead, and what we're going to do is we're going to go to their website, and then we're going to run through some of the specs that they're talking about and how they are marketing the Apple Vision Pro. So let's go ahead and take a look at that website. All right, we switch cams. There you are. So here it is. This is the Apple Vision Pro. So let's go ahead and scroll through the website. And so as you can see there, it looks like you can see through it. And so you would think that it's AR, but it's not. What you see right there, that person's eyes are actually a projection from the cameras inside, showing you those person's eyes through screens in the headset so that people on the outside of VR can see your eyes, but it's an image of your eyes through the headset. So we'll get into that, but that's something that is just one of the things that Apple is doing that is unique to their headset. And so Apple's calling theirs spatial computing. So that's how they're distinguishing themselves in the market, by calling this spatial computing. Now, one of the things, the first thing is you navigate with your hand. So obviously it has hand tracking. And like I said before, if they're going to show you images of your eyes, it's got eye tracking. But it does not come with any controllers. It's all hand tracking. So a lot of the VR enthusiasts are probably going to talk about that. Vision Pro, and so there it is. That's the headset. And as you can see, as their examples, they're showing a lot of screens. So they're doing virtual desktop type stuff. You can have virtual screens and all that. Now, what's so monumental about that? Not much. For all of us that have been in VR and known about VR, this is old stuff with virtual desktop. We've got that covered. However, you got to remember, Apple is a mainstream consumer product. And so from the business perspective, this is what we need Apple to do. We need to bring the regular Joe who doesn't know anything about VR, thinks VR is a gimmick or whatever. And now they've got one of these top 5 tech companies talking about VR and what it can do for you. This is good for the VR market. For us VR enthusiasts, this is old news, but for a top tech company to be pushing it, this is huge. Same thing with theater. I'm using big screen right now, and we've had theater and big screens in movie environments since the initial instantiation of VR. But now Apple is pushing it to the masses, the regular Joe person that doesn't know much about tech, and so now they're going to see it. Videos, again, VR, we already have that covered, but now we've got Apple. Huge screens. Again, we already know about it, but now Apple is pushing it. And so hopefully now the average Joe consumer can see this and be wowed. Okay, and now we've got connections, making calls. Again, VR could already do this stuff. But now, again, people should be becoming aware of the capability of what VR can bring you. Designed by Apple, so Apple's gotta say that it's Apple. Okay, the design really slick. And now you may have noticed, as I have noticed, and a lot of VR enthusiasts notice, this cable in the back. And what that is, that's actually a cable to a battery pack. So this headset, and we're just going to keep scrolling. It's very light. It's very minimal as far as what attaches to your face. You can see the profile here. It's not very thick. But there it is, the cable. And that's for battery. So it's an external battery pack. And it says while you're plugged in the battery, you get 2 hours. And then when it's plugged in, obviously to a Mac or an Apple computer, you can use it all day. But that is a huge note there, is that this headset is essentially tethered. It's tethered to the battery. And if you're not to the battery, you have to be tethered to a computer. So for us in VR, that's actually not a selling function for us that know about VR. Now, maybe for the people that don't know about VR, that could be something that, they may not know much about. But for us, that's actually not a selling point, that this thing does not have the battery integrated into the head and that you're going to have to deal with a wire. And the sound is integrated. And then, like I talked about before, Apple is calling this EyeSight. And so for us VR enthusiasts, we were thinking that maybe this was going to be AR with pass-through with goggles. But no, this is actually VR, but with the eye tracking, it's taking an image of your eyes and then almost like a two-way pass-through. It's passing through the vision of your eyes to the people on the outside. And they're calling it EyeSight. So people on the outside can see your eyes. And again, Apple showing off its ergonomics and its sleek design. That's just an Apple thing. They say it's very light. It seals off all the light from the outside. And then you get all of your Apple apps being able to run through the headset. Again, nothing different from what Microsoft had with the HoloLens and Windows Mixed Reality, being able to run the Microsoft apps. But now this is Apple saying that they can do it, and now bringing in a whole new tranche of consumers. And so now we get into a little bit of the tech specs. So all of the VR 2.0 functionality, I would say, is here. You've got pancake lenses. You've got micro OLEDs, 4K per eye. So that's really great resolution on this thing. Spatial audio built in. Eye tracking. And now we've got the sensor array. And when I watched the initial announcement, they say that there are actually 12 cameras being doing tracking in this thing. So it's got LiDAR and depth perception. And so this thing is loaded to the teeth with tracking and spatial awareness. Okay, and the processor. You know, it was rumored that there was going to be 2 processors in here. Those rumors have proven true. However, folks were thinking that the actual processor in here was going to be the iPhone processor, like the A16. But Apple managed to stuff their M2 Mac processor in here, along with a special processor that they're naming the R2 that handles all of the spatial computing and all of the sensors. So this R1 handles the sensors, and the M2 does all of the processor and the graphics. Now, the M2 chip is pretty sophisticated, and it's got a lot of capability. One of the things that nobody's done yet, and I just want to do a quick comparison: the M2 and the XR2 Gen 2, which is the Snapdragon that's in a lot of the headsets that are out there now, especially the Meta Quest 3. Let's see if I have it here. Meta Quest 3. Yeah, so here is the Apple M2. Now, this is one of the few charts that I could find comparison between the XR2 and the M2. And you can see, as far as the graphics going, the M2 has got the Snapdragon Gen 2, which is the XR2 Gen 2 with its Adreno GPU, has got it beat. And now this was something that they talked about, is security. So this thing actually, in addition to the eye tracking, it actually scans your retina. And so this thing secures the device to the unique patterns in your retina. So that's a function that's not on any other headsets that are out there, that it's unique to this Apple device. And then finally, as far as the software goes, usually Apple has their software locked into their own ecosystem. But one of the things that they announced is that in the development kit, that the Apple software has a kit for Unity. So there's a development kit for Unity for this. So now developers who are familiar with Unity, and Unity is a very popular API for programming, this Apple headset will be compatible with Unity. So that is a huge announcement from the software side, being able to develop for this headset. And so finally, the price. Apple has priced this headset at $3,500. Now that is a bunker buster of a price. And now I'm a little conflicted, because originally I said that Apple's entry into the market was actually a good thing, because Apple's one of the top 5 tech companies. But now that they've priced this headset so high within the VR market, it actually hurts the VR market, because the average consumer can't afford $3,500 for a headset. So now we have this case where we have a top 5 tech company investing in the VR market, but the device that they're bringing to market is out of range. And what we need in the VR market is an expansion of users. And so with a price that high, we can't expand the users. So we have investment from a big company, but we can't expand the VR market to more users because it's priced out of their range. So this is almost a null case where we've got some goodness, but we also counteracted it with some badness. And now Apple's entry is kind of a toss-up as to what's going to happen. Now this thing is going to be released next year in 2024, and we're just going to have to see how it plays out. If they're targeting it for business, are they targeting it for the average consumer? By the release that we showed you, they're actually showing things for the average consumer. But we're going to have to see how it plays out. This is really going to be a toss-up, and this is really a tough one to read because of those two cases where it's good, but it's also bad. So we're going to have to see how this one plays out. But above all that, it's very exciting time in the VR market space. So I think I'm going to end it there, and we're just going to have to see how it plays out. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in VR.